Well, I've worked with the 9 Health Fair, and one year the epilepsy booth was between Cancer 1 and Cancer 2, and it was interesting because the people would come by, they would hold their heads up when they saw the cancer, put their heads down when they saw the epilepsy booth, and the eyes were back up for cancer. I thought, well, that was really strange.
Yeah.
That's not happening anymore. I think we're not as scary as we used to be.
Ooh.
That's right. You know, the body's doing all these things, and your mind is gone. Well, I'm the oldest of all of you, and my mind is still gone, whether I have seizures or not. But sometimes we take ourselves way too seriously, too. Like the world looks down on us all the time. Well, yes, they do, and they look at us because they don't know.
Absolutely.
And we have to, if you've ever seen a person have a seizure and you're taking care of them, you have to educate the public right then and there that it's okay, they're not going to die.
Right.
They're just on a little vacation. They'll be back in a few minutes. It's okay.
Stay tuned.
That's right. And some people are comforted with that, but a lot of people, you can tell there's horror on their face.
Yeah.
And so if you maybe treat it with a little, not humor, but not critical,
Yeah.
I think people tend to learn that maybe it's not so bad.
Well, I think compassion for others, too, is something that I've learned, and I'm still learning continually through having epilepsy for a good portion of my life. It's that, as we're discussing now, people just don't know. They don't know. They could have had seen someone as a child have a seizure and still have adverse, scary memories from that. Therefore, they're going to have emotional reactions to you. And it's happened to me, and I learned that, and that was kind of hurtful to me because it's like I felt like I couldn't do anything to fix that, you know. Then I realized that that's their path, and it's okay. It's okay, you know, to let them walk their path, and it's okay for me to walk my path. And at work, I work at a Marriott hotel downtown Denver, and I know that I have had two different circumstances in which I've had to really invoke advocacy into my life. The first time I was a supervisor there, I was having a lot of they're the petit mal seizures, and they didn't know what was going on, even though I told them, which is kind of ironic, you know. But they didn't know how to handle it, even though I told them. And I just really think they were scared, and so I called the Epilepsy Foundation. Marcee came and did a presentation for my bosses, and ironically, none of my peers, coworkers other than my bosses showed up, which was interesting. So I had an individual conversation with each and every person, and I make sure to do that. Each and every person on the work staff, I have an individual conversation about, this is what happens to me. This is what you do about it. If I'm having a petit mal seizure, I don't know what's going on. And so, don't feel weird about saying, Jen, let's go in the back and sit down. Because, I don't take it personally. I'm grateful that people do that, you know. And then I had a second circumstances in which I had a boss who couldn't get it, that I couldn't do certain things schedule-wise. And that was several years later, and there was a turnover in staff, and I realized that, you know what, this conversation is going to happen my entire life that I have epilepsy. It's not something that just stops. I'm under no illusions that I'm in a perfect land right now, you know, because I think I've just well educated everyone in my life, you know. And so anyways, this boss finally got it thanks to a doctor letter that I had my doctor wrote for me, and I found it really sad that I had to have that in order to get them to not schedule me back-to-backs or, you know, sleep deprive me or this and that, you know, because people with epilepsy just can't do that. And so now at work, people are always concerned about making sure I eat, and my boss, who does my schedule, always asks me if there's some things that she's not sure about. And I've also had another situation in which I had to have another person from the Epilepsy Foundation come in and talk for me because I was too emotionally triggered and I couldn't handle it, you know? And so I'm so grateful for the Epilepsy Foundation, and I really feel like I owe my job to the Epilepsy Foundation. So thank you guys. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I think that you just brought up, it kind of leads into our next question, which is, what challenges have you had with advocating for you or your child, and how have you overcome those? It sounds like that was a challenge you were having, and
Absolutely.
then you found the resource to help you advocate, and you continue to advocate for yourself and find those resources. So I guess, what about the rest of you? Have you all had challenges, and how have you overcome them?
Well, I think that one that just kind of pops into my head actually was with my brother, who I mentioned in my introduction, also has tonic-clonic seizures upon awakening, just like I do. But when he had his first seizure, he was a freshman at college in Davidson College in North Carolina, and he had his first tonic-clonic seizure, and his roommate called like campus security or something, and they came and they treated him as a drug overdose. So they handcuffed him, they pinned him to the ground, they did all sorts of stuff. And my brother, he's 6'4", 200 plus pounds. He's a big guy. And so he like started punching the cops because he had no idea what was going on.
Right.
And so after that whole experience, and he, you know, broke his nose like 3 times, and it was just all these terrible things, he brought it upon himself to actually get campus security together. And the dean, I can't remember who got together, but a bunch of like the head of schools, staff and everything, his teachers, who he also had seizures in their classes, he got them all together, and he brought in professionals like from the Epilepsy Foundation, I think in Charlotte, and brought them in and just taught a class on this is what you do. You should not immediately treat it as a drug overdose or something like that, because like this is absolutely so incredibly harmful to the person having the seizure. And so that was just something that I kind of really admired that he did, because he brought that upon himself, like you did, to kind of self-advocate, saying that, you know, you can't do this, and you know, that's not how it should be handled. And so that's just kind of one experience that really pops into my head that I can think of.
Good.